Kia ora, I'm Tuari Dawson, and you're listening to the Invisible Sensei podcast. There's an old joke, or rather, it's kind of a banter thing, or an insult thing, usually said between, well, in my experience, kind of a off-the-cuff kind of a way of getting someone to reconsider what they're saying. Or it's a very low level, kind of a playful insult, at least in the way that I've heard it used. And that is, why don't you go take a long walk off a short bridge? And for some reason, that joke and that concept resonates with me today and what we're going to talk about. Long walks off short bridges. How do we capture even a sampling of our life experience and then try to articulate that in a way that other people will find, one, pleasing, two, interesting, and three, hopefully something people will learn from and have an appreciation of in terms of their own life. The reason I talk about this today is because on the 28th of March this month, 2026, I am being assessed for my 7th dan. And I am in many minds about it. The way in which it's going to happen is that it's really going to be about me presenting a thesis. It's not going to be me doing thousands of push-ups or fighting 200 people or all those kinds of things. It's about, I guess, summarising the journey thus far. In February next year, I would have been training for exactly half a century, 50 years, starting in 1977. And, there's a part of me that goes, there is so many people who've been training for so much longer. And I guess that's always the case, especially when it comes to reflecting on ourselves. And in particular when we have to kind of summarise or dig back into our own experience. It's hard because it's really what's confronting. And it's much easier if I was sitting here talking to people that I have interviewed, or I had a really interesting interview. We could talk all day. I could give you facts and figures and dates and times and contributions and all those sorts of things. But it's quite hard when it comes to yourself. It's quite hard when you are, I guess, living in the movie. You're living the movie, you're not sitting in the audience. And there are specific times in our life when we have to sit in the audience and kind of take it all in, I guess, and look at it from a macro level, look at it from the top of a building as opposed to ground level. And for me, I could sit here and I could tell you, I'm really worried about this and I'm really worried about that, and I am. There is always a sense of nervousness. Am I fit enough? Am I strong enough? Is my technique polished enough? Am I a good example of karate? Am I a good example of kudo? Am I a good example of the standards that I hold and the standards that I've always been held to by people senior to me? To be totally honest, I don't know the answer to those questions. And there is always that inevitable comparison that comes up where I sit there and I think, what should I be doing? I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and I should. There is all these things that I should be that I'm quite frankly not. And then I have to think back and going, what is it that any promotion or prospective promotion or grading actually seeks to test? And there's so much out there, and there's so many opportunities to become so intimidated by the strength, the speed, the fitness, the knowledge, the fighting acumen of all these incredible martial artists. All you have to do really is turn on YouTube, turn on social media, all of those sorts of things, which most of us, I mean, you're listening to this basically on a social media platform, right? All those things that we can turn on. Now, in preparing for this and thinking about this, I was scrolling through some YouTube stuff, and for whatever reason, my algorithm, the almighty algorithm, chose to spit up some things about these incredible, like, there was this, in the shorts, there was this person who, I'm assuming is this taekwondo or tang soo do or whichever art, kicking and kicking art predominantly. And it's just standing there casually throwing these perfect side kicks. The gi snaps, they're completely vertical, beautiful form, beautiful power, and I instantly go, well, I can't kick like that. And I'm kind of going through all these miniature anxiety attacks, I suppose you would call them, because I guess the image that I have in my mind of the people that I admire, the people that I aspire to be like, I do not fit into any of those categories, not in a way that I find pleasing. Now, I've had to kind of really sit down and think about what is that I want to communicate. And, when I put this video out, I'm probably going to take off comments because everyone has a take. There is, the people I'm talking, people go, this, it's all about fighting and it's all about technique and, your ability to take people apart and all that sort of stuff. And look, it is a fighting art. There's no getting around that. It is a fighting art. But is that the most important thing to me? Not anymore. It was, the ability to have good technique and to kind of prevail in a self-defense situation. That stuff is important to me. But I guess in the last, I want to say, 15 years especially, but probably it's been going that way for a long time, that it's more about a personal journey. And what I hope I will articulate at this perspective promotional test is give a sense of what my journey has been thus far. What's led me to do the things that I do, practice the way that I practice. It'll give a sense of what's happened in my life in terms of things that have directly contributed and added to my approach. And not all that's got to do with anything around martial arts. It can be things like the birth of a child, the death of a loved one. It can be around loyalty. It can be around betrayal. It can be around all the kind of, the vagaries of life, all the things that happen that contribute to make us a person. Now, as I sit here and record this, I am actually quite tired, and you can probably hear that in my voice. Even talking about it is kind of tiring because I can feel my anxiety get up, and I start running around in my own head thinking about what I should be doing, what I could be doing, and who I should be. What I would like to articulate and what I would like to show is not only the journey so far, but what I'm working on at the moment. Not the definitive end goal, but maybe give a sense of the journey and a sense of where I'm hovering right now. I've talked about this famous Aikido sensei, Sugino sensei, who passed away a number of years ago, who was a chief instructor of Aikido in Australia. I didn't know the man, but I saw an excellent documentary about him, and in which he was talking about when he would present a seminar or gashuku, he would say, this is what I've been working on this year. Not this is what it is. This is what I'm playing with, or this is where I'm formulating, or this is what I'm moving through this year. And apparently from year to year it would be quite different. And I think for me, that at least that's a healthy thing. I'm really enjoying the pursuit of karate do. And I'm giving less and less of a shit about whatever other people think. And in our martial arts community, everyone has something to say. People have often commented on my weight. People have said that I'm slow, I don't move well. Again, the fat thing always comes up. That I should spend more time doing push-ups and less time eating KFC. That, you name it. My head's a funny colour. I've even had people resort to the low-hanging fruit, which is my ethnicity, my race, and all those sorts of things. So that's been a part and parcel of the journey as well. But pushing that away and choosing not to kind of live in that world, all I'm going to try and do is give an account of who I am in terms of a martial artist, where I want to be, what the journey entails to this point, and what I'm hoping it will be in the future. I'm not looking to be a perfect role model of any of these things. Hopefully I am a work in progress, as they say. In fact, I know that I'm a work in progress. Hopefully I can do justice to the people that have supported me thus far, the people that have believed in me, and the people that have been kind enough or believed in me enough to look to me for the role of being a teacher or being a sensei. And, when I look over the years, there are plenty of things I would do differently, but we don't get to do it again. So having to let that go, put myself out there and do the best I can. Of course, there's always that thing about talking about gradings and promotions and all those sorts of things. When I recently returned from Okinawa, I had some time to really stop and think about what had happened whilst I was there. I had some time to think about and revisit, I guess, the idea of promotion. And I liked it, to be totally honest. I know this is the bit where I'm supposed to say, I'm not worthy and kind of lie down in sackcloth and tell you how unworthy I am of it. And I guess what I'm saying is not that I'm the bee's knees or I'm the absolute, as the kids say, the shit when it comes to being a 7th Dan, but I would like to take responsibility for the training and the information and I guess the knowledge that I have thus far and continue to build upon it. And how will 7th Dan impact my technique? Not at all. I'm not a believer that grading changes technique, at least not for me. It just means that I need to grind harder and to be more wary and conscious of what I'm doing and how I'm utilising my body. But it's not going to change it a whole lot. In fact, what I hope it will do is encourage me to get to a place where I feel comfortable with that. And I like that. I know it's not kosher, for want of a better term, to talk about promotion in a way that might lead other people to believe that there was a lack of humility on my part. And how I'm approaching it is this, is I'm very pleased to be asked, I'm very pleased to be a part of this process. And I think, hopefully, when I get there, all things going well, I will give a good account of myself on the day. But like I said at the beginning of this, it is a long walk off a short, what did I say? A short bridge. Or a short pier, or whatever it is. And I'm not sure that I can summarise 50 years of training in 3 or 4 hours. But I will try and give it, at the very least, a good executive summary. I have, as you know, if you listen to this podcast, I'm not part of any large associations. I am, for want of a better term, I guess a standalone. I don't do martial arts professionally, although I'd like to. But I think those days might be well behind me. Who knows? Maybe they'll discover the youth serum and I can go back and do it all again. But failing that, I do martial arts because I love it. I love where it puts my head. I love, more importantly, where it puts my soul, where it puts my mind, and the incredible people that I've had an opportunity to meet all over the world. I love doing this podcast, which I see as a part of my training because it allows me to articulate things that I don't often say but often think. And it's been a wonderful conduit to meet amazing people. Just the other day, I had a really good conversation with a friend of mine, a new friend, a friend I didn't know I had, but now that I think we've met, I think we can call each other friends. John Crane Sensei up there in Washington State. We had a very agreeable coffee conversation, and I always love hearing from people who listen to the podcast, and I got to learn a lot about his approach and his history, and that's the sort of things that I love. That's the things I'm so grateful for in doing this podcast. I am worried about my kata. I am worried about my knowledge of application. I am worried about my kubudo. I'm worried about my stances. I'm worried about what happens if I forget something or it's not up to par. And I'm doing everything I can on a daily basis to, at the very least, not totally embarrass myself when I step out there. Last night I went to my sister's 50th birthday. And my sister is much more of an extrovert than I am. She is the life and soul of the party. And there we had a number of my cousins and my siblings and in-laws and all that sort of thing. And she's been for a really hard year. Last year she got a quadruple bypass. She lost both of her very treasured dogs. There was a whole bunch of things, and I'm not equating those things as being the same, but I'm saying that for her, she's been through a massive change and had to confront things and ask herself questions. And she said, look, if there's anything I can tell everyone, and she's standing there and you can see the scars on her chest from the quadruple bypass and the scar on her leg where they grafted the vein out. Do all the things. Say yes. If you get the opportunity, say yes. Don't question it. Don't make decisions in fear, and just say yes. And I guess with coming up to 7th Dan, I am so proud and honoured that there are sensei who are gathering to honour me with the opportunity to put something before them. I'm so honoured that there are incredible sensei who are willing to put their reputations and their names on the line to support such a promotion. And I'm really honoured to try and do justice to my family, to my culture, to my friends, to the people who have taught me, to the people who have trained me, to the people that I train, and hopefully to the community that I try to do my best to create positive things in. That's why I'm doing it. I'm keen to do all the things, to say yes when no would be safer, and to step into something greater. 7th Dan is not a guarantee of quality, at least not for me. It is one of those things that kind of suggests a certain technical level, and it's not for me to say whether or not I approach that technical level. But what it also does is it puts me in a position that perhaps doors that were closed to me before will be open, and that means I can open doors for other people. And I can create opportunities for other people to do the thing that they most love. To make contributions to our community, to our young people, to our adults, to our elderly, to our community at large. To enjoy martial arts, to enjoy a quality of life that only martial arts can provide, and to have a lot of fun doing it. So I've decided I'm going to take a long walk off a short pier.